Keyword phrases. The first thing you need to do is make a list of the keyword phrases that you think are important. So start by compiling the phrases that relate to your business or service, and then you need to start expanding this list to make it more relevant. Now, rather than single words, you need to think about phrases, because most people will type in a phrase and possibly a location in order to search for your particular product or service. Now, let's take the example of, say, a plumber in Perth. Then an obvious keyword phrase would be something like plumbers Perth. Other related phrases would be things like plumbing Perth, plumbers in Perth, plumbing services Perth. And you also need to think about localized names, so maybe your city or your suburb or your state. So for instance, plumbers Perth, or plumbers Perth WA, or plumbers Perth Western Australia, or maybe more localized, maybe plumbers Joondalup. Joondalup's a small city just north of Perth. So these are the sort of things you need to start compiling lists of, the sort of phrases you think your customers are actually going to use. Now, in many cases, what you consider to be your important keyword phrases may not be the ones that your customers are actually using. So it's very important that you talk to your customers and you try and avoid or include technical terms and non-technical terms. So, for instance, quite often if you're up close to your business and used to dealing with people who know technical terms, then this may be great for a technical audience. But you also need to think of more general, generic terms, non-technical terms. So the idea is to try and get a mix of terms and phrases that will be used by your more specialist and non-specialist visitors. Now, you can use Google to investigate your competitors. At the end of the day, your competitors, if they've been in business for a long time, will have been around the block a few times and they'll have done the research. So basically you can take advantage of the research they've already done. So the first thing you need to do is just type in a relevant phrase into Google. So for instance, if you were a plumber in Perth, you could just simply type in plumbers Perth, type it into Google and see what comes up. Basically, if you've got 3 pages of results before you're listed, then you've just identified your competitors. So you need to actually look at what they've done in order to get to the top of Google, and what sort of phrases and keywords they're concentrating on. There's various techniques you can use. So for instance, let's take that example of a plumber in Perth. If you are in Google and just type in the word plumber and then stop, you'll find that the Google Autosuggest will supply a list of other alternatives. So let's try that for real. If we open up Google here, type in the word plumber and stop at that point. As you can see, it's suggesting plumber, plumbers, plumbers Perth, plumbers licensing board, or plumbers WA. So if we click on this one here, plumbers WA, this is going to give you rather different results from just simply typing in plumbers Perth. So it's another way of basically identifying the sort of keywords and phrases that may be important to you. Now, in a similar way, once you've done a search, quite often you'll get a list of related searches displayed at the bottom of Google. So if we try this, and here's an example here, if we try this for real, so if we type in something like plumbers Perth, there's all the results as normal. And if we go down the bottom, you can see there's this area down here where it's basically displaying related searches. So in this case, it's suggesting phrases such as Master Plumbers Perth, Yellow Pages Perth, Water Corporation, Plumbers Perth Northern Suburbs. That might be one that you hadn't thought of. Plumbers Perth WA, it's a more obvious one. And then you've got maybe more specialist ones, like for instance, Ruth Plumbers Perth WA. And these are actually related phrases that people actually use to search in Google. As you can see in this example here, even though that we're based in Perth, WA, it's come up with Plumbers Perth, Scotland. Obviously that one wouldn't be quite so useful for you, but it shows you the sort of related phrases that people might type in. Now, when you're doing a research like this, it's quite important to turn the cache off within your browser. Caching basically is a way of speeding up your searches, so you'll find that if you do a search and then you do a very similar search and you do repetitive searches like this, you'll find that quite often the actual results you get will become more specialist, more focused on what you're searching for. Now, at the end of the day, you want to turn the caching off within your browser. This will slow things down slightly, but the point is you get more accurate results. You'll get the sort of results that people just doing a casual search will also see. As I say, if you have caching on, then quite often you might find, for instance, when you're searching for the position of your own website, if you open up your own website a few times within the search engine results and then do another search, you'll find magically you seem to be at the top of the search engine results. And this is all due to caching, and it is a kind of a false result that you might see locally. The caching doesn't affect anyone else apart from your own computer. So as I say, always turn the caching off when you're doing this kind of research. You get more accurate results that way. Sometimes people will do a search for a particular search phrase, click on a result in the search engine, so open a particular website, and then you'll notice if you go back using the back button, sometimes you'll see something like this. So in this particular case, we've searched for computer courseware. We opened up a relevant website, clicked on the back button, and then in the list of results, we had this block all cctglobal.com results. Sometimes people think, oh, this is a great way of blocking competitors. It has nothing to do with other people's computers. This will just block it locally on your own computer. So don't be fooled into thinking this is a sort of sneaky way of somehow blocking your competitor sites. It's purely to do with the local caching, if you like. Right. At the end of the day, your competitors, as I say, if they've been established for a long time, they will have taken some time and effort, presumably, to establish what keywords are important. So one thing you can do is just simply go to a competitor's website, right-click, view the source code, and check out the keyword listings within the meta tags. So if we did this for real here, if I bring up a website, which happens to be one of our websites, if I simply right-click on that, on an empty part of the website, and then go to View Page Source, you'll find that we can see the list of meta tags here, which are important to this particular website. As we'll see later, these days the keyword meta tag statement is by and large totally irrelevant. A lot of people still put them in. I generally put them in, but by and large, it has no effect, certainly has no effect within Google. Might possibly be used by some of the other less well-known search engines, but these days the keyword meta tag statement is largely ignored. But it is a good way of basically investigating other people's websites if they've got the information in there. So you can see in this particular case, you've got the word or the phrase SEO training Perth. Then we got the next phrase is online marketing, then just the word Perth, then the word SEO, then Perth, then Joondalup. So as I say, this is a good way of investigating competitor sites and basically identifying the keywords or the phrases that they believe are important.